Welcome to Module 3 of our new member class, What We Believe. My name is Kelly McCowan, and in this module, I will give you a brief overview of what most UUs believe and the shared values that we have in common. In Unitarian Universalism, you can bring your whole self, your full identity, your questioning mind, your expansive heart. As Unitarian Universalists, we covenant, congregation to congregation, and through our association, to support and assist one another in our ministries. We draw from our heritage of freedom, reason, hope, and courage, building on the foundation of love. Together, we create a force more powerful than one person or one belief system. Unitarian Universalists do not have to let go of personal experiences, practices, or beliefs to be part of this community. We join together on a journey that honors all our individual backgrounds and experiences. We are united in our broad and inclusive outlook and in our shared values. We are united in shared experience. Our open and stirring worship services, religious education and rites of passage, our work for justice, our commitment to center the experiences and needs of marginalized and most vulnerable among us, our dedication to living in a way that always centers love. Love is the power that holds us together and is at the center of our shared values. We are accountable to one another for doing the work of living our shared values through the spiritual discipline of love. Inseparable from one another, these shared values include generosity, where we cultivate a spirit of gratitude and hope. We covenant to freely and compassionately share our faith, presence, and resources. Our generosity connects us to one another in relationships of interdependence and mutuality. Justice. We work to be diverse, multicultural, beloved communities where we all feel welcome and can thrive. We covenant to dismantle racism and all forms of systemic oppression. We support the use of inclusive democratic processes to make decisions within our congregations, our association, and society at large. Interdependence. We honor the interdependent web of all existence. With reverence for the great web of life and with humility, we acknowledge our place in it. We covenant to protect Earth and all beings from exploitation. We will create and nurture sustainable relationships of care and respect, mutuality, and justice. We will work to repair harm and damaged relationships. Transformation. We adapt to the changing world. We covenant to collectively transform and grow spiritually and ethically. Openness to change is fundamental to our Unitarian and Universalist heritages, never complete and never perfect. Equity. We declare that every person has the right to flourish with inherent dignity and worthiness. We covenant to use our time, wisdom, attention, and money to build and sustain fully accessible and inclusive communities. Pluralism. We celebrate that we are all sacred beings, diverse in culture, experience, and theology. We covenant to learn from one another in our free and responsible search for truth and meaning. We embrace our differences and commonalities with love, curiosity, and respect. So this image encapsulates all of our proposed revision to Article 2 of the Unitarian Universalist Association bylaws. So Unitarian Universalism is a liberal religion born of Jewish and Christian traditions. We keep our minds open to the religious questions people have struggled with in all times and all places. We uphold the free search for truth. We will not be bound by a statement of belief. We do not ask anyone to subscribe to a creed. We say ours is a non-creedal religion. Ours is a free faith. We strive to be more like-hearted than like-minded. As Dallas Rising says, we have a choice about how we approach anything unfamiliar to us. We can choose suspicion and fear, or we can choose curiosity and wonder. Our spirits are nourished when we choose curiosity and wonder. We believe that religious wisdom is ever-changing. Human understanding of life and death, the world and its mysteries, is never final. Revelation is continuous. We celebrate unfolding truths known to teachers, prophets, and sages throughout the ages. We affirm the worth of all genders. We believe people should be encouraged to think for themselves. We know people differ in their opinions and lifestyles, and we believe these differences should be honored because our diversity strengthens and enriches us all. We seek to act as a moral force in the world, believing that ethical living is the supreme witness of religion. The here and now and the effects our actions will have on future generations deeply concerns us. We know that our relationships with one another, with diverse people, races, and nations, should be governed by justice, equity, and compassion. Each UU congregation is the fulfillment of a long heritage that goes back hundreds of years to courageous people who struggled for freedom in thought and faith. On this continent, we include the Massachusetts settlers and the founders of this republic. For us, religion is an ongoing search for meaning, purpose, value, and spiritual depth in one's life. We believe that individuals are entitled to make their own search and that not all persons are going to share the same beliefs. We believe there is wisdom and value in most religions, but that no one religion has all the answers. There is no one size fits all, or even that there is an answer to life's big questions. We think for ourselves and reflect together about important topics like the existence of a higher power, the meaning of life and death, sacred texts, prayer, and spiritual practices. We believe in an inner harmony that will lead to ethical action. More than 1,000 congregations make up the Unitarian Universalist Association, which represents our interests on a continental scale. The congregations of the UUA are self-governing. Each local congregation called a church, society, or fellowship adopts its own bylaws, elects its own officers, and approves its budget. Every member is encouraged to take part in church or fellowship activities. When asked why they choose to be a member and attend a UU church, this is what some of our members have said. I want a religion that respects the differences between people and affirms every person as an individual. I want a church that values children, that welcomes them on their own terms, a church they are eager to attend on Sunday mornings. I want a congregation that cherishes freedom and encourages open dialogue on questions of faith, one in which it is okay to change your mind. I want a religious community that affirms spiritual exploration and reason as ways of finding truth. I want a church that acts locally and thinks globally on the great issues of our time: world peace, women's rights, racial justice, homelessness, LGBTQ rights, and protection of the environment. Lisa Miller, a psychologist and author of The Spiritual Child, says spirituality is an inner sense of relationship to a higher power that is loving and guiding. The word we give to this higher power might be God, love, nature, spirit, the universe, the creator, or other words that represent a divine presence. But the important point is that spirituality encompasses our relationship and dialogue with ourselves, connects us with others, and this higher presence, sometimes called transcendence. It is a relationship with all life, both intimate and transcendent. Our current mental health crisis, the growing political divisions, and the need for awakened leaders all make it clear that spirituality and ethics must be addressed. In our schools, places of worship, in our homes, everywhere. While Unitarian Universalists focus more on spirituality than religion, it does not ignore religion completely. We believe that religion at its best is when it helps us to ask questions and holds us in a state of wonder. And at its worst, it is when it tries to answer these questions authoritatively and dogmatically. Before the UUA developed the image of our shared values that I shared in the previous slide, we relied upon 7 UU principles that described our core values that each congregation promised to affirm and promote. They help us feel connected to ourselves, our community, and the world. But it was challenging for young children to understand what we were talking about. So we revised them into the rainbow path. Each principle is aligned with the color of the rainbow. Many people seek out a faith community to raise their children in it. That's certainly what brought us to Dakota UU Church. We've often said we came for our kids, but we stayed for ourselves. In religious education, or RE, we strive to provide the spiritual care that will support the individual to successfully complete their developmental tasks. The chart on this screen describes how each developmental task looks, whether you have spiritual care or without spiritual care. Basically, spiritual care helps children to thrive and flourish and to reach their fullest potential. Lisa Miller was asked, "What does it mean to raise a spiritual child?" And she responded, "A spiritual life is characterized not by knowing the answers, but by asking questions." Children are born with an innate capacity for spirituality, just as they are born with the capability to learn a language. In our religious education programs, we strive to nurture the spirit of our children and ourselves. Audrey Lingley, a writer and educator, said all learners should have access to a learning environment that brings their whole person authentically into the room. The supposed neutrality of spirituality's absence from conceptions of learning is Eurocentric and promotes alienation. Oppressive political systems depend upon participants who are not aware of each other's essential humanity, and therefore an educational system that suppresses compassion, wonder, tolerance for ambiguity, and a sense of interconnection is hegemonic. Opportunities for experiencing art, nature, and social activism are the key ways that we try to promote spiritual development and thriving in our RE classes. A flame within a chalice, a cup with a stem and foot, like you see on this screen, is our primary symbol of Unitarian Universalist faith tradition. Many of our congregations kindle a flaming chalice in gatherings and worship and feature the chalice symbol prominently. Hans Deutsch, an Austrian artist, first brought together the chalice and the flame as a Unitarian symbol during his work with Unitarian Service Committee during World War II. To Deutsch, the image had connotations of sacrifice and love. Unitarian Universalists today have many different interpretations of the flaming chalice, including the light of reason, the warmth of community, and the flame of hope. This is the end of Module 3. Module 4 will describe ways that we put our beliefs into action.